here's Brody Brazil.
You know, when you think about this potential A's relocation to Las Vegas, there are some obvious main elements to consider. Like the baseball owners' vote. It was unanimous to approve the team's relocation. How about the public funding that was approved with SB 1 back in June, or even the team's intentions and timeline and ability to privately finance a $1.5 billion stadium? All of those things are like links in the chain. They all need to come together to tie everything together. But there's one more element that is so important that, quite honestly, isn't the most stable right now, it seems, and nobody's really talking about this. The importance of Bally's and GLPI, Gaming and Leisure Properties Incorporated, as part of this process. They own the land, the 35 acres where the A's want to move, and in the case of Bally's, they operate the Tropicana Hotel, which absolutely needs to be demolished before anything else takes place. And again, we all know that they're part of this process, but this is an aspect in an area that is very rarely discussed. Let's talk about the land deal. Let's revisit what we already know. GLPI, Gaming and Leisure Properties Incorporated, they own the land, the 35 acres, which I will show you one more time in just a second. Bally's runs the hotel, the Tropicana Hotel. They have a 50-year lease, which started in 2022. They just bought the property in 2021. But starting in 2022, they pay rent to the tune of $10.5 million a year for the land that it sits on. Now, speaking of land, they have promised, Bally's and GLPI, they've promised the A's 9 free acres, again, no cost, but it's 9 of the total 35 acres on the site, which we'll look at. Hang tight, just a second. But they're also providing up to $175 million for certain, quote, shared improvements, which we found out over the summer, directly corresponds with demolition of the current property and hotel. So that $175 million initially might have been assumed to go towards something with the ballpark, the upkeep of it, the upgrades of it. Turns out that $175 million is going to be part of the demolition process that would need to take place. Okay, here's the site. You see Tropicana kind of slanting up maybe towards me right there. The strip is, this way right there. The strip's going that way. So let's outline what is the 35-acre site, right? There you go. Pretty simple to understand. The ballpark is actually not supposed to really touch the strip at all. It is on the opposite corner, the southeast corner. So I guess up is east in this depiction. I know it's confusing. I should have just done north up, but you understand that this is kind of like the back corner, the back parking lot, however you want to describe it. But that is approximately what 9 of 35 acres looks like on this site. Okay, but Bally's, once again, they are an important link in this chain. If Bally's and GLPI, if they're late on the property, if they're no longer into this, they can't afford it, if they run into financial troubles, like, again, we'll get into the reasons why I'm even suggesting that in a second, but let's look at Bally's here as just a link in this chain. Bally's Corporation owns and operates 15 different casinos across 10 different states here in the United States. In Colorado, they have a horse track. They also have online sports betting. They operate across 14 different states. Bally's has 10,500 employees, and in 2023, they had assets of $6.3 billion. So it kind of gives you a gauge of who they are, what they do. In the last 5 years, you can see how greatly their stock has fluctuated, and it's went from $30-something a share to about 70, and now less than 20. In fact, $11.92 a share is what Bally's was trading at as of closing on January 5th. So their stock has obviously seen much better days. I don't know if it's seen much worse days, and I also don't know if this is a true and accurate reflection of the company or what they're capable of, but just kind of shows you where they're at right now. Okay, so let's enter into the conversation this casino project that Bally's is doing right now in Chicago. In September, they opened up a temporary casino site at the historic Medina Temple. I don't know much about this building. I've been to Chicago a bunch, obviously never been there, but it's historic by nature. It's been around for many, many decades. It's been used for a bunch of different things. I think it was a department store at one point. They used it as a studio and I think a concert hall. But now it's been transformed into a temporary casino by Bally's. And eventually here, it is the precursor to a new $1.7 billion casino complex that they want to build somewhere else over in a place called River West, a beautiful location, literally west of Chicago, right on the river. 500 rooms, 10 restaurants. Yeah, I'll show you the renderings in just a second. A beautiful facility. The temporary casino was supposed to make enough cash and provide enough revenue to start ramping up to that new casino. But the problem is it only generated $1.5 million in tax revenue between September and October, and it was supposed to reach $12.3 million by the end of 2023. I haven't seen figures since then, but safe to say they did not meet that expectation. In fact, they recently opened the casino up. I think it was from 20 hours to now 24/7 operation. They're trying to maximize every single hour of the day to make more money with this temporary casino location. There's the historic spot there at the Medina Temple and what they've done with the building. You can see beautiful architecture, the brownstone. Just a classic building. I'm glad they're doing something with it. And for Bally's, maybe this temporary home is actually where they might stay even longer. Here's the new project. Here's what Bally's wants to do. Pretty grand ambitions there, but that would look pretty spectacular in Chicago, I've got to say. But there is one problem. Those renderings and that project right now seem like they're in a bit of jeopardy because of the temporary casino's lack of performance. Like all of this has been wanted and desired and agreed upon. And in fact, this was supposed to be built by September of 2026. Bally's has a deadline to actually get that done with the city of Chicago. However, somebody as part of the city of Chicago, their alderman Brian Hopkins, said this in November of 2023, quote, "Bally's has already indicated that they're not in a hurry to start construction. They're years away from it. They don't have the money to do it. They were counting on the cash flow from the Medina Temple site to fund the construction project, and right now they don't have it. The signs are on the wall that they're going to stay at Medina and that temple site even longer." So consider that, and now what we know about the A's process and plans and potential progress at the Tropicana site, which, they bought back in April of 2021. Remember when that stock was doing really well? So let's now put all this together. I realize your brain has been in a bit of a blender. Why are we in Chicago talking about a different Bally's project and site? Well, you'd have to imagine, and I don't run Bally's, don't work for them, don't cover the casino industry and the gaming industry by nature, but I think you can all understand that Bally's Chicago project, because of its deadline, because of the fact they've already constructed the temporary site, they're in on this, it would have to be more pressing and immediate than anything else that they're trying to do. And understand what they're planning to do with the A's and the Tropicana site. Like, that's a major undertaking. The demolition of a hotel in the Tropicana, which I get it, it's old. It probably needed replacement at some point anyway if you really want to keep up in Vegas. I also understand the sentiment that it's a historic site, and nobody really is dying to see it go away. But nothing right now probably has the priority for Bally's that the Chicago project does. They're already a little bit knee-deep in trying to get the funding up there so that they can get the plans moving, so that they can live up to the agreement for September of 2026, which they've got in place. By the way, months are ticking away here. They actually need to start moving forward with that project. And the entire Chicago project, it's not in a great spot based on performance. And you saw the analysis there from the city of Chicago itself. Even they recognize that this is not immediately going in the direction that everybody planned. And so if Bally's does get these two projects going simultaneously, those would be huge crossover deals in 2025 and 2026. Whatever the A's do on their 9 acres, think about what Bally's has to do with their remaining 26 acres. That's at least another $1.789 $2 billion project on the Las Vegas Strip that they have to spend on, that they have to do the right way to compete in Las Vegas. And whatever Bally's does on that site, And also, whenever they do something to that site, it's equally important to the Oakland A's and their potential relocation. You can't do anything there unless the site is absolutely cleaned and cleared. And that's a hard thing for Bally's and the Tropicana Hotel to do, to not exist anymore, because the moment it comes down, the moment it closes, it stops making any revenue that it already was. And so now you run into that problem if you're Bally's with the Tropicana, that you want to move forward on things, but to really move forward, you need to make the ultimate commitment that this is going to happen. If you start demolition, you're going to have to put something else up on that site. So Bally's, because of their other project in Chicago, maybe they do, or maybe they don't have the same urgency as the Oakland A's right now to relocate. Like, time is ticking on the A's. They've already said opening day 2028 on the Strip. But if this site isn't cleared by mid to late 2024, then obviously that pushes everything back a little bit. And yeah, it's expensive to close the Tropicana and to have empty land there for all those years. There's no casino in operation. There's no hotel in operation. It's just a big pile of dirt for a couple years until you build something else. So I don't want to speak for Bally's, and I think what they will say matters more than anything else, but we don't know much yet about where they stand on the Chicago project in relation to a Las Vegas project, one versus the other, or both at the same time. It just seems like a really big commitment. And if they're already truly struggling in Chicago, what exactly does that mean for the Las Vegas side of their operations? You made it here to the end of the video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.